What is up, YouTube? This is your boy Armaret, and I'm bringing you part 2 of my 3-part series in which I'm getting everybody prepped and primed for the Trinity Wars that's due out in July. So the first episode was about the Justice League. This episode is about the Justice League of America. So what is the Justice League of America and how is it different from the Justice League? So the new Justice League of America is entirely separate from the main Justice League. Partially because one, they were formed by America, and two, they really have no correlation to the other. The new Justice League was formed by Amanda Waller and consists of Steve Trevor, Martian Manhunter, Green Arrow, Hawkman, Catwoman, Stargirl, Katana Vibe, Green Lantern, that's the Simon Braz Green Lantern, and the Atom. So the problem was the United States and America essentially decided that they needed a countermeasure for the Justice League. What happens if the Justice League ever betrayed America? We need an answer to that, especially now with Wonder Woman dating Superman. So what they decided to do is go out and recruit incredibly special individuals, and each one of them was picked so that they could counter a member of the Justice League. And that's kind of what this chart shows right here. And this chart was shown at the end of episode number 1 of the Justice League. So essentially what they have here is Martian Manhunter to counteract Superman, Catwoman to fight Batman, Katana for Wonder Woman, the 2 Green Lanterns, Flash and the Vibe, Cyborg, Stargirl, and then finally Hawkman versus Aquaman. So this is how the Justice League of America and Amanda Waller and Steve Trevor pictured how these two teams would go after each other in episode 1. Now, we know since then Justice League of America has added Element Woman and Firestorm and what they think is the Atom, and we now know that the Justice League of America has added Green Arrow and the Atom. So why don't we actually get into each of the main members of this team? And so the first person is Amanda Waller. Now, Waller is shown to be in direct command of the Suicide Squad, choosing its members and having its final say as to whenever the implemented explosives inside them would blow up. It is also revealed that she requested a command of unit she could send to their deaths without regret after an operation she was involved in, resulting in the death of all of her squad members, including several she had personally recruited. She was also involved with the Team 7 in some capacity, which led to her temporarily leaving the spy business. And then finally she was pulled back into the spy business, and she formed the Justice League of America. And since she's a human, she has no powers, but she is highly bureaucratic, highly ruthless, and is not afraid to cut a team member loose. Next member, and this is kind of like the team lead, the team captain, and he's tasked with making sure that there's team cohesion and that everyone can fight properly as a team, and that's Steve Trevor. Steve Trevor was an intelligence officer in the United States Army during World War II whose plane crashed on Paradise Island, and Paradise Island was the isolated homeworld of the Amazons. He was nursed back to health by the Amazonian princess Dianne, who fell in love with him and actually returned to the outside from Paradise Island to the outside world with him, and she became Wonder Woman. So if you remember in episode 1 when I had told you that Dianne and Steve Trevor had some connection, this is what the connection is. And essentially, Steve Trevor became like the Lois Lane to woman. He was constantly getting injured or in trouble, and she was constantly rescuing him. But that's not to say that he can't handle himself. He actually formed August, or the Advanced Research Group for the Uniting of Superhumans, as well as he's also now the UN's liaison to the newly formed Justice League. So he does play a crucial part, and he was actually the person who brought in the Green Arrow to the team since they're longtime friends. So now we're going to get into who the people with the powers, and why not start off with the single most strongest member of the team, and that is the Martian Manhunter. So as many of you may know, he was initially on the original Justice League, and he left the Justice League a while back before this new 52 and the Justice League of America was actually created. And Superman actually says that he believes that Martian Manhunter is the strongest person on the planet. So who is the Martian Manhunter? He's a green-skinned alien from planet Mars who was pulled to Earth by an experimental teleportation beam constructed by Dr. Saul Odo. The Martian tells Odo where he's from and is told that to send him back requires a computer's brain thinking plot to be changed. Essentially, seeing this shocks the Doctor so much that he ends up dying. And because the Martian Manhunter cannot get back to Mars until Martian technology comes, he decides to essentially stay and fight crime under the name of John Jones in the fictional town of Middleton. The Martian Manhunter possesses a wide variety of superhuman powers, including telepathy, shape-shifting, projecting energy, X-ray vision, phasing, invisibility, flight, and super strength. And then despite all of this, the powers, just like Superman's weakness is kryptonite, the Martian Manhunter's weakness is actually fire. So fire actually does not do additional damage to him. He just has psychological trauma in which he links fire to pain and disaster, which makes him weak towards this item. Now, the Martian Manhunter was a member of the Justice League, he didn't fully use his telepathic powers because he was forced to constrain himself. In the Justice League, he does not actually have that tie down, which is why he was actually picked personally to counteract Superman's ability. So the Justice League of America, because he initially approved for the team, and then he was denied access to the team because of his brash behavior, and then ultimately because he knows of Catwoman's involvement with the team, he's able to blackmail him and bring himself onto the team. So who is the Green Arrow? The Green Arrow, actual name is Oliver Queen. He's a billionaire businessman and owner of Queen Industries, as well as a well-known celebrity in his local town of Star City. Sometimes he dresses up like Robin Hood. Green Arrow is an archer who invents a whole bunch of trick arrows, kind of like Hawkeye, and some of these arrows include glue arrows, smoke arrows, net, explosives, time bombs, grappling, fire extinguishing, flash, and tear gas, as well as cryonic and even kryptonite arrows to go after Superman. So he's got a ton of ability, he's very agile, he's got great eyesight and great reflexes, and his ability to sneak is on par with some of the best. So he actually makes a good addition to the team. Next up is Hawkman. He's an honored police officer from his home world of Thanagar. Along with his wife Sharia, they used anti-gravity, nymph metal, and their wings to fight crime. These were the tools of an elite police office unit tasked to track down and apprehend the most dangerous criminals. The pair were sent to Earth in 1961 to capture the shape-shifting criminal of Bith. Following this mission, they elected to remain on Earth to work with authorities in the U.S. and learn human police methods. The two adopted covers as a pair of museum curators under the names of Carter and Shiva Hall, and act publicly as the second Hawkman and Hawkgirl. Now, the one thing you will know about Hawkman is because he is a police officer, a super police officer, both on Earth and where he came from, his sense of justice is incredibly high and will actually attack people a little bit more vigorously than probably should. Now, next is Catwoman. So Catwoman's sole reason for being on the team is to counteract Batman, as well as to be used to help infiltrate the criminal underground. So Catwoman's real name is Selina Kyle. She first appeared in the Batman #1, in which she is known as the Cat. She is an adversary of Batman, and they've been known to have a complex love-hate relationship, in which they're lovers yet they're friends, colleagues yet arch rivals. It's a great little dichotomy between the two of them. She uses a whip-carrying burglar, so all of her tools are highly around close-hand combat, high agility, speed, sneakiness, clever, tact, all of which she learned partially from herself being a highly accomplished cat burglar, and partially from her time with Batman, which is why she's so perfectly suited to being the counter to Batman, is the close tied relationship that she has with them. Now, she was originally brought into the Justice League of America as a silent partner, as a quiet partner, so that nobody knew that she was actually a member, and she was used strictly to be able to infiltrate the secret society of supervillains, and that's why they brought her on. However, unfortunately, big spoiler, in this week's newest issue of Justice League of America, she did infiltrate it, and she was killed. She was shot in the head. Catwoman is dead. Now, unless it was some sort of trick or ploy that they then reversed next issue, That's it. And before she died, she says, "If you kill me, Batman's gonna get you." And to which the guy's response was, "That's what I'm hoping for." So to me, this is an absolute travesty that they killed off Catwoman so early, because I think she would have had a fantastic part to play in the Trinity Wars, especially going up against Batman and having that kind of reaction. But unfortunately, that's what they decided to do. So the bringing in of Green Arrow, I'm getting the feeling, is their way to kind of replace Catwoman with Green Arrow. So the next member of the team is the Green Lantern. So this is the Simon Baz Green Lantern, and his task is to go up against the Hal Jordan Green Lantern. So as many of you know, Hal Jordan being the greatest Green Lantern of all time, this is going to be incredibly tough for Simon Baz to do. Um, and his background is a little controversial, because in the New 52 they decided that they needed a new Green Lantern to join the ranks of Stewart, Gardner, and Jordan, and even Reno. So they brought in Baz. So who is Baz? Baz was a Lebanese American child living in Dearborn, Michigan during the events of 9/11. Growing up there with his family, Simon and his sister Cyril were both bullied and persecuted because they were Lebanese. As a young adult, Simon began to get involved in street racing and eventually car theft. The car theft ended up putting his brother-in-law in a coma and was hospitalized, which left him incredibly financially strapped. And then when he was later fired from the auto manufacturing plants, he decided to do one last car theft, and in the process, he actually steals the wrong car. And so the police are chasing after him. And when he looks in the back of the car, he sees that it's loaded with explosives. So he drives to the factory that he used to work at that is now closed, knowing that nobody would get hurt in the explosion. As this happens, he ends up getting arrested and being charged with terrorism. As he's being interrogated, Hal Jordan and Sinestro, who were fused together at the time, their malfunctioning Green Lantern power ring, actually finds Simon, turns him into the new Green Lantern, and it helps him to escape. And that's why his character is incredibly controversial. One, because he does have a criminal past. He doesn't have, at the time, what you would stereotypically think as a Green Lantern: willpower, ability to overcome fear. And at the same time, he has proven himself as a powerful Green Lantern. And just like Hal Jordan's Green Lantern, he's not always there with the Justice League of America, because he is guarding his own sector. So the next member of the Justice League of America is Katana. So now Katana is described as a lethal fighter who spent the last year waging war in the Yakuza clan. That's the mafia, the Japanese mafia, that is responsible for the death of her husband. She's rumored to be mentally unstable due to her belief that her husband's soul, whom she often converses with in Japanese, resides in her sword. Now, this actually is not an uncommon belief due to classical and Japanese traditions, was that the soul of your family inherited your sword and was passed down from generation to generation, and that's what gave the sword and the samurai its source of power. So it's kind of nice how they incorporated that into the comics. So Katana was a member of the Birds of Prey, and she actually left the group and accepted Adam Waller's offer to be a member of the New Justice League, strictly because he promised her information on who killed her husband, and that's what she solely strives for, is to avenge her husband's death. She's highly proficient in hand-to-hand combat and swordsman, having studied martial art as a child and later being trained by the samurai. From her time with the Outsiders and Batman, she has also developed strong tactical skills. So as you do see, there is a lot of crossover between the Justice League and the Justice League of America, almost through the conduit that was Batman. And I think that's going to play a pivotal role in the Trinity Wars. So the last two members of the team are Vibe and New Adam. So Vibe, his name is Paco Ramon. His career as a Vibe began shortly after Aquaman disbanded the original Justice League. When young Paco heard that the new Justice League was forming in his hometown of Detroit, he decided to give up his position as the leader of a local street gang, the Los Lobos, to join up. What made Ramon a candidate was his metahuman ability to emit powerful vibration shockwaves. Vibe's sonic powers enable him to create a shockwave of considerable strength. His power could shatter concrete or steel. His agility was above average, and under Batman's tutelage, Vibe became a more skilled combatant. Now, what they use Vibe for up to this point is to fry electrical circuits and it's particularly cameras because his sonic vibes disturb the electronic circuits inside. And he was actually used to combat the Flash, because if you remember, the Flash's power is the ability to vibrate and move himself at such speeds that he can either pass through objects or move incredibly fast. So if you now have somebody that can emit the same amount of force and speed and vibrations back at him, the feeling is that it would be able to be neutralized. Now, the last member of the team is the new Atom, and she's actually not introduced in the Justice League of America issue. She's actually introduced in the Justice League issue. So this past and most recent Justice League issue that came out, she was recruited by the Justice League to be a new member and help round out their team. And at the end of the episode, we find out that she has actually been a member of the Justice League of America all the time as a spy. And nobody knows that the Atom is actually a member of the Justice League of America. No team members, not even the only people who knows is actually Amanda Waller. So who is the new Atom? She is Rhonda Pineda. She works as a spy to gain intel on the Justice League, like I said. Her replacement is unknown and is intended to be a counter member to the Justice League, and her ability to grow incredibly small actually allows her mind to not be read and to get into small, intricate places. So the last member of the Justice League of America is actually was a girl by the name of Stargirl. She's a high schooler by the name of Courtney Whitmore, and currently she's being used as a mouthpiece, as a talking point, because she is the wholesome all-around girl next door, and she makes for the good face of the team. She's not allowed to go out on missions because she has to be seen as wholesome, and she can't afford to get her hands dirty in the combat, though that's all she wants to do. And in the latest issue, she actually sneaks out from the headquarters and joins the team. So Stargirl over the year has often been called Stars or Star. She was originally known as the Star-Spangled Kid, and she began using the name Stargirl after she was presented the Cosmic Staff by Jack Knight. So Stargirl essentially is a girl who fights crime, not a whole lot of unusual or special qualities to her, but this cosmic staff that she has only answers to her, and it is a powerful weapon that absorbs stellar energy and is used to create a wide range of abilities which the wielder then uses for crime. So it was invented by Ted Knight and based on an earlier gravity rod. It's sometimes called the Cosmic Rod, Cosmic Staff, and Stargirl gets the ability to have rapid flight, levitation of objects, manipulation of energy, and creation of defensive force fields and offensive energy blasts of incredible power by operating the staff. So she's chosen to go up against Cyborg because the belief is she can use the technology of the staff to overpower the speed, durability, agility, strength of Cyborg. So there you have it. This is the Justice League of America, designed for one purpose and one purpose only, and that is to counteract the Justice League, although they do not know that yet quite at this point. So the only people who know the team's true intention is the Atom, Amanda Waller, and I think to a lesser extent, Steve Trevor. So if you stick on around, in the next installment, part 3 of 3, is going to be Justice League Dark. Let me know what you're thinking about these videos, and as always, have a good day.